Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We made it midway through the week, almost the weekend. So close. We got lots coming up here on Primetime Local, and Josh will be covering sports today, and just a few days before the big game.
Yes, we're actually going to be there for the big game.
Nice.
A few live appearances planned. Very exciting, and probably the most highly anticipated sporting event of this fall for the city.
Oh yeah, I feel like every year it's always looked forward to. And in agriculture, Connor Chan's here.
Yeah, so we meet a producer that's really passionate about the livestock and cattle, so we kind of get a little bit closer, in-depth look to that. So
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, we look forward to that, but first we're going to toss it over to Stacy for a look at your local headlines.
Thanks very much, Michaela. Well, we have a story correction to report tonight. Last night and this morning, Primetime Local News incorrectly reported that Guardian Radiology's MRI machine in Lloydminster was shutting down. In fact, it is the MRI service and facility owned and controlled by the Onion Lake Cree Nation, not Guardian Radiology, that will no longer be operating. All inquiries to the ongoing operation of the Lloydminster MRI facility should be directed towards Onion Lake Cree Nation. We would like to apologize to Guardian Radiology for any confusion and misinformation that this may have caused. A 32-year-old Lloydminster man is facing charges in connection with counterfeit cash showing up in the border city. Ryan Bain was arrested along with one other man and two female youths last Friday after RCMP carried out a search warrant in a home in the 3000 block of 56th Avenue. Police seized a printer, laptop, pre-cut security strips from Canadian money, and photocopies of Canadian bills. Bain is charged with 3 counts of unlawfully making and 1 count of possession of counterfeit money. He's been released from custody on bail and returns to court next month. While maintaining focus in the classroom can be difficult for many kids, especially those who are hungry. 3 years ago, the Alberta government launched a program to help provide healthy meals to students. And as our Brittany Matika explains, thousands of kids across the province aren't packing a lunch for school anymore.
Usually when we're out from races, they usually put it on the cart and then we just grab it and go eat.
Each day at North Star Elementary, 253 students receive a healthy lunch.
It's been wonderful. With Full Bellies, they're at their full capabilities, and we're just so thrilled to be a part of this program.
Alberta Education provides funding to all school divisions across the province. Northern Lights School Division says they're feeding over 700 students a day.
It's based on the 4 food groups with a bit more instruction from Alberta Ed on feeding youth. Apple Schools helps us tailor the menu and make sure we're covering all the bases.
Centezzo says they're able to feed each student for an average cost of $3.75 per day.
We had some rice and some chicken.
But it is nice to see everybody eating a nice healthy meal and everybody's eating the same thing.
The lunch program is actively running within 4 schools in the division, and some students also receive breakfast or a snack through the program. Foote says her students are also learning to try new things.
There's going to be a couple kids that are apprehensive about the whole thing, but when they see their friends try new things, then they're more willing to try new things themselves.
Green beans was something that some of our kids in the Lac La Biche area had not necessarily had. They'd had beans before, but not fresh green beans served as a side like that. So we're quite excited. They tried different things.
The students of North Star will be receiving a healthy lunch every day until the end of the school year.
Parents too, they're very thankful because some of our families might not have the means to have a well-rounded lunch for their child and provide that every single day. So this is something that we can do. It's the least that we can do to help them out.
Brittany Matika, Primetime Local News.
A group of students at Winston Churchill School are raising money to help put food on the table for the less fortunate. Jackie Thomas and her leadership group have been collecting bottles for the past week to raise money to go and buy groceries with their students for the food bank.
Then we also decided to do a bottle drive, and with the money from the bottle drive, we're going to take the kids shopping for the food bank and have them experience putting meals together and going and delivering it to the food bank.
The group has also done some other projects such as litterless lunches, and on Friday they'll be cleaning up the park and having a picnic there as well.
But it's just their awareness. Like, for them just to bring in bottles, it's one thing, but for them to bring in bottles and then to do something with that, that's the difference. And they're quite excited.
Just to give other people food, and just feels good to do it.
The group will be collecting bottles until Friday. And let's check in with Brittany Matika now, who's at Fourth Meridian Brewing.
And Helen Hoffman joins me now, one of the owners here at Fourth Meridian Brewery. And we've been talking beer for the past few minutes, but what I really want to know and share with our viewers at home is why did you and your husband and your brother decide to open a brewery here in Lloydminster?
Well, I guess it started with an interest in the industry. I don't know, it's maybe 10 years ago, give or take. Edward was home brewing in Calgary and picked up it just as a hobby and making some really awesome beers. And as time went on, Brad and I would go and visit, and he'd take us to a whole bunch of microbreweries that were open in Calgary, and then we'd try his beer. And he was making really good beer, and we had been to a lot of other places to compare it to, and we knew that it was a good product, and he had potential as a brewer, and the whole concept of microbreweries was just fascinating to us, and we knew that it was something Lloydminster could use, and we just strongly felt it would do well here.
And now you're the only craft brewer here within the city, and you've been open for now just over a year, opening last August. So how has the past year been?
It's been a whirlwind of a year for sure. We opened last August with 6 taps and experimenting with different styles. Since then we added 2 more taps. We started experimenting with ciders, so we evolved from making just beer into also adding apple cider, which actually falls under a wine license. So we've expanded our skill set. And yeah, it's been great. We've had lots of events here. We've had tons of new customers come in day to day. We've met so many new people, and we've had an overwhelming reception from the community.
That's fabulous. And we're going to have a little bit more coming up from Helen later on in the show, as well as we're going to introduce you to the brewmaster behind the beers and find out how this process really gets from being just hops to beer that's going to be on your table. But right now, we're going to head back over to the studio and check in with Michaela to find out what's going on in this week's forecast.
All right, thank you, Brittany. Definitely lots of overcast here in the border city today. Currently sitting at 11 degrees. Look at these records, though. 28 back in 1997, -5 in 1984. Luckily, not into the minuses just yet, but there is a potential for some snow tomorrow, unfortunately. Looking at our current temperatures, just going to step out here. Edmonton sitting at 9 degrees. Vegreville 12. Vermilion also sitting at 12. Same with Maidstone, a little bit warmer down in North Battleford. Provost and Macklin sitting at 13, 10 degrees in Green Lake. And I just want to show that we're, as we move along, we're frozen here. Here's our satellite radar. So there's that precipitation that kind of just missed the border city, but it could move in overnight. We have a 30% chance of showers overnight. And there's that cloud cover that is going to continue into the next few days. No watches and warnings currently, no frost advisories until we hit way up north. None currently in the area. North Battleford sitting at 13 degrees, cloud cover there. Going to continue overnight, dropping down to 1 degree. Tomorrow the sun is going to peek through, but only a high of 6 there. As we move on to Cold Lake, high of 11, currently very overcast as well. -1 tonight and a high of 6 degrees tomorrow. Lloydminster currently sitting at 11 degrees, winds coming out of the northwest, 25 kilometers an hour. Overnight dropping down to 1 degree, and tomorrow only a high of 6. Here's a look at your 3-day forecast. Averages should be about 15 and 2, so we're not too far off for the lows. 6 degrees tomorrow for your high, 1 degree for your low. Friday, 14% chance precipitation, only a high of 8, -2 for the low. And Saturday, it's going to be overcast, 4 degrees for your high, -2 for your low. Have a look at your 7-day forecast a little bit later in the show.
Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
A new contestant has entered the race for UCP candidate. Chair of the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation, Daryl Howell, has announced his plans to seek the UCP nomination for the newly formed riding of Vermilion-Lloydminster-Wainwright.
And I'm just concerned that if we don't make Alberta an attractive place to invest again, all these great social network and everything we've built up is not going to be sustainable.
Howell believes his extensive career in the oil industry and time on the board of Lakeland College makes him the right choice for UCP nominee. Whoever is chosen will face the incumbent PC MLA Richard Starkey, who decided not to join the UCP when it was formed. Startup Lloydminster had their first ever book club today, featuring Billy J. Miller's book, Farm Wives 2. According to a Lloydminster Needs survey done last year, a sense of loneliness was a big point in the community. This Super Lunch and Learn is open to everyone and is focusing on business books, books by local authors, and entrepreneurs.
We're hoping to generate some really great conversations, see different perspectives and insights, and just bring people together.
Super Lunch and Learns happen every Wednesday at the Dream Forest with Soup and Conversation. The club is currently in a trial run with hopes to expand and turn into a summer project.
Stay tuned for more. We're not sure how this is going to all work, but we're excited to see where it goes.
Juggling your work schedule can be a challenge once you add kids to the mix. As Michaela Henschel reports in this week's Beyond the Classroom, St. Mary's has introduced a new program to make the day a little easier for parents with an early start.
Parents with kids enrolled at St. Mary's Elementary now have another option for childcare thanks to the school's morning program.
There was such a need for parents to go to work early, and they just needed a nice, safe, kind, caring place to drop the kids off.
Between 11 and 20 students take part in the new Before School Care program, which is the only one in the division. Parents aren't the only ones who benefit. The extra time spent at school gives students extra time to do homework and socialize with others.
They have the opportunity, of course, to hang out with others, and they get to do a little bit of homework or reading, mentoring, or just chill out. Some of them are up very early.
And in addition to providing care services, the school also provides a nutritious breakfast for students, setting them up for a successful day in the classroom.
That's just another, I guess, a stressor off the parents. So they could drop their children off knowing they were cared for, but also very nutritious breakfast is part of it. Because we know with these kids being up so early, that if they don't have the proper nutrition, then the day's just a little bit tougher and a little bit longer.
For Beyond the Classroom, I'm Michaela Henschel.
Beyond the Classroom is brought to you by Lakeland College. Apply to the hairstyling program and take the lead working with clients in the on-campus salon. Lakeland College, leading learning since 1913.
Well, turning to agriculture news, running a cattle operation is not necessarily associated with fun, but a well-managed outfit goes a long way. Gerard Lampow meets a producer with a passion for bovines.
We run both horned and polled Hereford.
John and Kayleen Locke and their family run a mixed ag operation in the Macklin area. Hereford and Angus are their specialty.
Dad got his first purebred in 1971. Is when he started up the purebred Hereford side of things, and it's mostly horned. The last 6 years we've been started to do a little bit of the polled Herefords. And then on the Angus side of things, we started in 2004. I bought my first Angus bred heifer out of a sale in Saskatoon and just started growing from there, keeping heifers back and buying the odd heifer and bred heifer from around the area.
Growing quality livestock has its challenges.
The biggest problems that you face is trying to find the next generation, to find the bull to replace the one that's going out, and being able to find the herd bull that offers something that maybe you're missing in your cow herd, whether it's you want to improve the feet and legs or the udder structure on your cows, or maybe you just want a little bit more width on your cow herd. So it's the fun part of it is going around bull shopping.
They will check the catalogs in the spring looking for a bull with the desired characteristics.
The big things that I really look for in my cow herd is just the structure of the cow, the length, the width, the depth of the cow. Need to have good feet under them. I like to see a good udder on them. Being able to, work in a pasture setting where they can walk for miles and miles and miles a day and not have to worry about their feet breaking down, and udder structure on them just to keep the udders back in the herd, and that way you don't have to worry about their udder breaking down, and you want to have as much longevity out of these cows as you can.
Locke wants a cow that can give him about 10 to 15 years while still producing a calf. Having said that, producers love the animals.
They're more or less pets than they are really a cattle herd, I guess. You know, we care for them every day of the year.
Gerard Lampow, Primetime Local News.
Canadian agriculture continues to be strong and resilient in the face of higher interest rates, trade uncertainty, and volatile commodity prices. That is according to Farm Credit Canada. The Federal Crown Corporation's latest report says the agriculture industry is well positioned to thrive despite some challenges. Total farm debt in Canada recently exceeded the $100 billion, but most Canadian producers continue to be in a good financial position. The FCC says profitability in Canadian agriculture decreased slightly last year when measured against the value of farm assets, which have continued to increase. It also says interest rates are expected to increase before the end of the year. Well, that's it for agriculture news. Let's take a quick look at your ag prices.
City Center Auto Body is proud to offer the paintless dent removal system. This works by going behind the panel, working out small dents. Lloydminster's trusted auto body shop for over 35 years.
Thank you, Connor. The Border City is set for the biggest game of the Wheatland Football League season so far, when the Lloyd Comp Barons and Holy Rosary Raiders meet Friday evening at 6 p.m. Each coaching staff has preached staying focused on the short term in order to build to this moment. It's a date that's been circled on the calendar since last year's championship, and one that's grown in anticipation since both the Raiders and Barons have dominated all competition they faced.
All season, we've been looking forward to it. It was one game that we're all super excited for and ready to play.
Heading into Friday's showdown, both coaches are pleased with their respective squad's development thus far.
Working hard on the new stuff we're installing, and so far it seemed to have the right, be in the right frame of mind, so we're looking forward to the end of the week.
I really liked it this year. A lot of our guys, they've been focusing game by game, and I think that's what the coaches want, and that's what I believe we've done.
This season has allowed each team to get reps for the entire roster, and recent games have given them both cold weather experience.
So we got to work on some bad weather football and breaking down and bringing our feet and taking care of the football, so that was all really positive.
There are several storylines to look for, such as the quarterback duel between Amandrood and Tabaku, as well as the improvement of new players.
Tyler Marlies has been very good as a first-year player, and Anton's been able to get him the ball in some spots for him to be successful. Our whole defense, I'm excited to see how they implement the game plan.
Oh, it's pretty good. We're ready to catch it and get some touchdowns here.
The Raiders are happy to host the Tilt, though not for the typical home field advantages.
You have your own locker room and you're comfortable with the surroundings, but as far as the play on the field, football field's a football field, so we have to show up and play. The home field advantage is not going to give us any real advantage other than we don't have to jump on a bus.
Puts more stakes on us, this is our home turf, we're going to defend it more, and we're not going to let Comp, for example, come here and take it.
1, 2, 3, Bears!
And last night, the Lloydminster Bobcats got their first road win of the season, defeating the Drayton Valley Thunder 3-2. Now let's head back to Brittany at 4th Meridian.
Edward James joins me now, who's one of the brewers here at the brewery, and we were just talking about how beer really does start right at the beginning with malt.
That's correct. So we start up in here. This is our malt area where we store all our grain. This behind me, all these white bags, this is what this is. It's 2-row pale malt, which is the base malt for any style of beer that you would generally make.
And this is sourced fairly local.
Right, so our 2-row in the white bags comes from Alex, Alberta. The other malt that we carry in the red bags, that comes from Penhold, Alberta, from Red Shed Malting.
And so now this is the base of every beer, so whether it's light or dark?
Right, correct. So we use 2-row pale malt. There's a few other pale malt styles that you can get, but we use 2-row because it suits the type of beer that we make. You could also have Pilsner malt, or there's a few other types of specialty 2-row pale as well.
But when you're making certain different the kinds of beers, you can use different malts.
Right, so you'd start with your base malt, and then you can add a variety of different malts. So here we have some amber malt, which adds a really rich, intense flavor to it. We have some Crystal 120, which is a malt that has already had the starch converted to sugar inside the grain, and then they roast it or they kiln it to caramelize the sugar, and that's what gives it its color. Here we have some chocolate malt, which is a two-row malt or pale malt that has been then roasted to a darker color, in this case the color of essentially chocolate. And next to it we have some roasted barley, which is unmalted, it's just raw barley from the plant, and then roasted till it's almost black. And on the end we have some malted rye, which we use in our red ale, which gives it that sort of spicy, sweet flavor that you find in that beer.
And do you use more than one malt in a single beer?
Yeah, we'll use up to probably 7 or 8 different types of malt in some of our beers. I believe our porter we use about 6, the red probably 6 or 7.
Oh, that's really interesting. And we're going to have more coming up from Edward a little bit later. We're going to head back downstairs down to where they actually brew the beer. But right now, we're going to head back over to the studio and check in with Michaela to find out if this sunshine is going to keep shining all week long.
No, it's not. That's just a simple story. It's lots of cloud cover, unfortunately, in our forecast, but this should brighten your day. Look at this cute dog on a walk at Bud Miller Park. This was sent in to us by Ryan. So if you have a photo of the weather, do send it in. We'd love to showcase it here on Primetime Local News. Looking at our current temperatures, 9 degrees in Edmonton, a little bit warmer as we move here towards the border city, 12 in Vegreville, 11 in Vermilion, also 11 here. A little bit warmer as we move down south, 12 in Provost, Macklin, North Battleford, currently sitting at 13 degrees. And as we move a little further onto the map here, Grand Prairie sitting at 9 degrees, 10 in Peace River, 8 in High Level, and then a couple of 6s and 7s as we move in Flin Flon, very cold at only 3 degrees. As we look a little bit further into across the provinces here, 11 degrees in Banff, 12 in Calgary, 11 in Coronation, and 13 in Kindersley. 14 in Swift Current. Now, as we look at our satellite radar over the last 24 hours here, lots of cloud cover, and we did miss the precipitation, but we do have a 30% chance that could turn into some precipitation overnight. If we could just get AccuWeather to advance here, we're a little bit frozen. There we go. Here's a look at, it's still frozen, but over the next 24 hours, lots of cloud cover, and that precipitation, we do have a chance of flurries tomorrow. Only a 30% chance throughout the day. That rain could turn into a snow mix overnight, but it should taper off by the early morning hours when everyone's off headed to work. If we could advance here, we're having some technical difficulties. There we go. Looking at our numbers for tomorrow, 8 in Edmonton, 7 in Vegreville, also in Vermilion. Only 6 degrees here, and in Maidstone, North Battleford also sitting at 6 degrees tomorrow. For the kids catching the school bus, 1 degree. The sun is going to try to peek out, but lots and lots of cloud cover over the next few days. Recess, only 2 degrees, warming up to a high of 3 over the lunch hour, and then home time, 5 degrees, and that sun should peek out just a little bit more. Looking at our 7-day forecast, averages for this time of the year are 15 degrees. Unfortunately, no double digits in our forecast at the moment. Thursday, high of 6, and that those wet flurries could taper off into the morning hours. And then Friday, 8 degrees, -2 for the low. Saturday, 4 degrees, -2 for your low there. Sunday, and that cloud cover is going to continue as you see throughout the entire 7-day forecast. Only a high of 3, -7 for the low. And if you factor in the wind that day, it is going to feel much cooler into the overnight. And then Monday, high of 4, -3 for your low. Tuesday, we have a 55% chance of some precipitation. That is a rain-snow mix. High of 2, -2 for your low. And then look at that, our first minus as our high, -1 is your high for Wednesday, but the sun will be out. That's been a look at your 7-day forecast.
Thanks for joining us down here in the tap room. Tomorrow night, I am going to be out at Sip and Savers, so tune in to find out what downtown Lloydminster has to offer. But right now, we're going to head back over to the studio.
Thanks so much, Brittany. Taking a quick look at your 7-day forecast. Gonna be 6 degrees and 1 overnight. So if you are heading out for a Sip and Savor tomorrow, definitely bring a jacket. Friday for the big football game, only a high of 8, -2 for the low. So you're also gonna have to bundle up for that. And then look at that Wednesday, -1 as the daytime high. Luckily a little bit warmer before we get there, but not really too much. We even have a -7 for a low over the weekend. It's getting there. Fall is here
Slowly.
officially. Yes, very, yeah. But at least our farmers could get
cold
out
for
today.
fall.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, we're going to leave it there. That's all the time we have. Have a great one, everyone. Take care.